Well, this Women's History Month, we're highlighting women making a difference in their communities across the whole spectrum of different industries.
For one local Afro-Latino woman, she had no clue her idea to start a podcast would eventually turn into something greater.
News 6 meteorologist Samara Kokinas explains how her knowledge of podcasting ended up being so empowering.
Literally an idea.
For Afro-Latina podcaster Carla Wilmaris, the idea to start a podcast was the easy part. How to do it was a whole other problem.
I was trying to find people to teach me and to help me on how to do podcasting, how to get it onto iTunes, Spotify, iHeart, how to edit, the engineering part of it. I don't know how to do any of that. What equipment do I need? What microphones do I need? And no one was willing to really help me for less than giving up my firstborn.
So she set to work figuring it out herself. 8 months later, Wilmaris and a friend launched their first of what would turn into many podcasts.
I started in my daughter's playroom, so I kicked her out. I said, your toy's gonna have to go to your room now.
In only 8 weeks, ratings soared and the podcast wound up in the top 100 along with mega celeb Oprah.
And I'm like, wow, the power of podcasting was real. And I realized it quickly and I quit my corporate job. I had already saved about a year and that's when I quit. I'm done. And I went all into podcasting.
Sharing her personal story led to over 1 million downloads, over $100,000 in ad revenue and sponsorships. But Wilmaris realized there was a need amongst others with ideas like hers.
I started getting a lot of messages. How do I start a podcast? Can you help me? Can you help me? And I started realizing at that time, there wasn't anyone in the space that looked like me, sounded like me, had the same tone of voice. They didn't relate to me.
So she launched her academy, Idea to Launch.
I launched my first cohort of people for 5 weeks and it sold out within 72 hours. It was like $400 at the time and people just bought it. And I was like, oh my God. So we launched 10 podcasts in 30 days.
Wilmaris has a podcast called Pivot with Purpose. And like many of the podcasts she created, they're still up and running nearly 5 years later. To date, her academy has helped over 700 people of color launch successful podcasts that are profitable.
That was what I was focusing on, helping people that looked like me, sounded like me, and just didn't have this huge budget to start a podcast and simplifying it. So a lot of people literally have changed their lives. It's changed my life. I was an accountant. I quit within 8 months.
She says she wants people to know if you have a dream like hers, if you have a story to tell it.
Anyone at any point needs help to get their voice out there. Just know you have a story to tell. And there's someone out there that wants to hear it. We always think like, oh, no one's gonna wanna hear what I have to say. They will, whether it's a podcast, a book, whatever it may be.
Wilmaris says she looks back at the tiny playroom often to reflect on and motivate her success.
This is a very male-dominated industry, period. So first is men, and then is white men on top of that. So to see women of color here, you don't see as much. So podcasting really gives us a voice for us to speak on how we feel, really let people know who we are. And then on top of that, we can find our tribe and find other women that are like us. It makes me feel like I did something. It makes me feel like I'm probably making my daddy proud.
Well, she is, and so many others. And her success opening doors to radio as well. A previous dream of hers now turned to reality with the new Fly 103.1, Orlando's hottest music station, where she's co-hosting the weekday morning show.
I knew I heard her voice somewhere. And of course, you can hear more stories of influential men and women in music by listening or watching Samara's podcast, Riff on This. Now, new episodes drop every Thursday.
You can find it on most podcast platforms as well as clickorlando.com and our YouTube channel. For more information, you can head to clickorlando.com/insider.
Sorry, correction, every other Thursday. All of a sudden, Samara's like, no, not every week. I can't do that. Every other Thursday.
Yeah, that's a lot of work.
Yeah.